Hello and welcome back to ISpeakSpokeSpoken English. How are we all doing today? I mean, nobody's here just yet, but if you are watching this as a rewatch, you will see that I am speaking now. How are you all doing? As you all come in, let me know how your week has been, how the weather is where you are. And yes, it has just come up on my phone telling me that we are live. So I'm sure that a lot more people are going to come in soon. But yeah, let me know how you all are. I hope that your week is going well. I will be wearing gloves today because it's quite cold, to be honest with you. I'll be taking them off and on again a little bit because I'll need to use the laptop, of course. But yeah, it's getting colder over here in England. Even though we still have a bit of a sun, which is quite nice. But even though we do, it is fairly cold as we go along. I mean, it's nearing. We're going from that bit into autumn, which is a beautiful month, of course. Lots of nice colors, but at the same time, we get a little bit colder. But that's all right, you know. We move on from that. Hello, Marie. Hello, Sylvia. I hope that you're doing well. The weather is cloudy and cold, and so oh no, it's kind of similar to here. But yeah, no, I hope that. I mean, I say I hope it gets better, but I know that as the year goes along, it probably gets even colder. But that's okay. The colder it gets, the cooler the clothes get, in my opinion, and also the thicker the jackets get. So actually, sometimes there are perks because of the fashion. Actually, the sun is shining. Oh, good. Okay, so we have a bit of both actually, and hopefully the sun continues to shine, and hopefully Sylvia gets a bit more sun as well, as we don't want it to always be grey. So yeah, today we're looking at some useful grammar, some basic essential grammar rules. So quite often we sit here and talk about kind of specific grammar points and stuff, and those are great because then you can get down to the real specifics of the language. But it's always good to have a little bit of an overview of what's going on as we're learning. And doing that will help us to maybe there are some topics that you haven't managed to look at over time. And doing this will help you see where maybe you are struggling a little bit, or where your strengths are, or maybe just jog your memory about something that you forgot about previously. We've I'm showing spoilers of the middle slides. Yeah, we'll wait maybe a few more minutes here because we're only 2 minutes past. But as we get to around 5 minutes past, we will start. If you haven't already, let me know how you're doing. Let me know what the weather's like where you are, and I would love to hear about it. Mm. Hello. I speak spoken English. I'm glad that you're here. It's we're gonna have a lot of fun today, and lots of great things to do. Lots of really cool topics, and some awesome red words, as we all know. We love our red words over here at ISpeakSpokeSpoken. And if you don't already know, our red words are words that are sometimes mispronounced, are sometimes harder to remember, maybe, or just words that we think it will be good for you to go over as they're the important words in these topics. So as we go over them, what we'll do is maybe I'll do 1 or 2 slides, then we'll go back and I will read out the red word. You will repeat, and then I will repeat it again, and then I want you to repeat again. And in doing that, your pronunciation will get better. And in some harder ones, what I will do is I will explain to you how the transcription here, the phonetic transcription, which is written exactly how you would say it, how it works, and how to read that, and where to kind of put the inflections, where to put the stresses, and all that fun stuff. The sun is shining so much. I'm glad. I'm glad it is. Yeah, as I was just saying, it's sunny here, but not hot. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's I'm glad that it's sunny. I hope that you're enjoying that. Maybe getting one last tan of the year. Definitely no space for tanning here, but yeah, no, it's good. It's as I've said before, I love the sun, but it's also quite nice as it gets a little bit colder, maybe closer to the Christmas period. You can start wearing nice clothes. You can wear maybe some jumpers and things, and yeah, maybe if yeah, it's just nice, the fashion. I think it's very cozy. And I know a lot of people here are from France, and I know that the French fashion is very like amazing all around the year. But actually, in the colder seasons, I think it's some of my favorite French fashion. So that's that. Yeah, I hope that you guys know that. So yeah, we can get started. Actually, it's 5 minutes past, and we can start on number one here. So number one, we have subject verb agreement. So our subject, which is who the person is that is doing the thing. So the cat is our subject here. So the cat is running. You see, he is doing the thing of running. So he is the subject of this. And we have to make sure that the subject and the verb agrees with each other. So as I'm sure a lot of you know, and if you don't, that's absolutely fine too. Yeah, quite often, who the subject is will change what the verb, how the verb appears. So the cat is a it, so it's either a he, she, or an it here. You know, so when we use he, she, or it in a present simple tense, we add an s to the end of the verb. So instead of saying the cat run fast, we would say the cat runs fast. We add the s to the end of the verb. The cat runs fast. Okay. And if you were using a plural form of the noun cat, you would say the cats run fast. We wouldn't say the cats runs fast. It firstly just wouldn't feel right, as there are so many s's, but also it's just incorrect grammar wise. You know, it's the cats run fast. So we have a plural, we have just run, but when we have cat, which is singular, we have the plural, well, not the plural, but we have the verb plus s. The cat runs fast. You see? Okay. Please don't be worried about putting anything in the comments. If you have any questions, please put them there and I will get back to them as soon as I possibly can, because the important thing here is that you're understanding. And a question that you might have might be a question that someone else is too worried to ask. So please know that, I mean, as long as it's about what we're learning here, there is no such thing as a stupid question. And I am happy to answer any questions about this, as simple as they might seem or as hard as they might seem. I will do my best to answer all of those and yeah, keep you guys up to date with what's going on. So please ask any questions that you might have and I will answer those. So let's carry on. We have proper use of articles. So what is an article? Please tell me. So an article is the kind of thing that is like an an, or the. So it's the thing that we put before a noun to it describes things about it. You see. So a lot of languages don't have articles, but English uses articles quite specifically to specify whether something is known or unknown. So the is about a specific thing, the cat. The cat. So it's a known cat. So the cat keeps running past me. Is that cat? Or if you were saying a cat keeps running past me, you don't know which cat it is. You don't know this cat. It's just a random cat. So the difference between the and a is the difference between if you know something, basically. So the cat, you don't know the cat. It's just, oh, no, you do know the cat. Is a cat that is quite specific, or a cat, it could be any cat, you see. So you could say the blue the blue car, so it's a specific blue car, or a blue car is there could be 5 or 10 blue cars on a road. A blue car, any one of them is okay. So that's the difference. It depends on if it's a specific thing or if it's just a general thing there. And the difference between a and an is quite an important one, with a being used for quite it's used for most of the words that we would put it with, but we put an when we have a word that starts with a vowel or a vowel sound, because sometimes something doesn't start with a vowel, but it has phonetically a vowel sound at the beginning. So let's have a look at some of the let's have a look at some things here that will show us what we're talking about. So I want an apple. I want an apple. You see, apple begins with an A, so it's a vowel. So we will say an apple. Listen, if it would sound weird if I said, I want a apple. I want a apple. It doesn't sound right if you put together. So we need to add something in between so that we add the N. I want an apple. Makes sense. So yes, as it says here, it could be any apple. So I want an apple. There might be a shop full of apples. I want any one of them. If I say I want the apple, there's a specific apple that I'm talking about. There's this amazing apple that I saw last week in the shop, and it's there on the counter waiting for me, and I want the apple. I want that one. I want the apple. Okay, please pass me the apple on the table. A specific apple, as we said. Okay, so next one we have consistency in tenses. So this is very important because we need to be able to use the same tense throughout the sentence to avoid confusion. And this depends, obviously, because when we use certain tenses and certain conditionals and things, you might need to use different tenses. But knowing which ones you need to use and using the right ones is what will make your grammar sound a lot better. So quite often we will want to use the same ones. So we'll have a look here. So an incorrect statement would be, he went to the market and buys some vegetables. He went to the market and buys some vegetables. So I'm not sure, can you see the issue here? What is wrong between these two tenses? What the issue is he went to the market is in the past simple. This is in the past simple. So it should be, he went to the market, and then we have the second part here, and buys some vegetables. This is in the present simple. So these two aren't working together because it's one sentence split by an and, which means that both sides of the sentence should be equal. So they should be using the same tense here. So the correct one should be, he went to the market and bought some vegetables. So the past tense for buys is bought. So he went to the market and bought some vegetables is the correct one here. Next, we have number 4, which is use of modal verbs. So if you don't know what a modal verb is, a modal verb is a very specific kind of verb which gives some kind of context by how much we should do something. If we should, we could do this. We're giving some kind of what's the word? We're giving some kind of need to do something, or the amount that something should be done, or something like this. Is basically it's explaining. It's a hard one to explain, actually. It's explaining the if something is being demanded of someone, is something that someone needs to do, if someone should do something. These are the things that they are talking about. So yeah, it's ability, permission, obligation, all of these things. So our obligation one here would be, you must finish your homework. It's an obligation. You have to do this. You must finish your homework. Whereas a possibility, if something could happen, is she might come to the party. So the difference would be, she must come to the party would be telling her that she has to do that, or she might come to the party is her option, her opinion, like she has the option to come or not come to the party, and she might do it. You see, so that is the difference there. She has the option, and you don't know whether she will or won't. Next up, we're going to have a look at some of our red words now, and go through those. As I said at the beginning, it will be great if you guys could repeat after me as we go through our red words. And the more you go through, the more you repeat, the better your pronunciation and vocabulary will get. So if you could repeat those, just give me 1 second. That would be great. Okay, so first up we have cat. If you could repeat after me. Cat. Very good. Table. Table. Okay, so how many syllables does the word table have in it? It has 2 syllables. Can you see? Table. Table. And can you tell me in the comments which syllable has which syllable is the stressed syllable? And I'll tell you a little tip on how you can tell this once you've had your guesses, and I will let you know which one I think, which one is right. So yeah, I'll give you a second there. Okay, let's see. It's one that actually, if you look at the red words, you can pick out. It is actually there is a little mark somewhere on there that should show us. Yeah, good job, guys. Yeah, it's the first one. It's not table. It's not table. It's table. You see? And the way that I'm sure that some of you already know, how we can actually guess which one is right is by looking at the little mark on top here. It's table. And we have the little mark. And when we have that apostrophe before a syllable, and we can see the different syllables because they're split by the dot in the middle, the way that we do that is by looking at the apostrophe, as you said there, Sylvia. Very good. And the bit that is right after that is the bit that is the stress syllable. So table, as that is right before the te. You see? Okay, really, really good, guys. Okay, so next up we have bought. Bought. Okay. Finish. Finish. Okay. Finish. Okay, good job, guys. And can you tell me which part of finish, as finish, 2 syllables, as you can see, which part of this is our stress syllable? If you could tell me in the comments. Okay. Which one do you think it is? I'm sure you guys will get it. You all got the last one. Yeah, good job, Jose. Really, really, really good. You must finish your homework. Very good. Finish, not finish. That would be the difference. Finish. Really, really, really good, guys. Okay, let's move on to our next one here. So, number 5, we have appropriate pronunciation, which is not, funnily enough, really, really, is not an easy one to pronounce. No, well, it was not an easy one to read either because I just read it wrong. It's appropriate punctuation. So, punctuation are the little things that we add, like an apostrophe, a comma, full stops, or periods, which is said in America. We have exclamation mark, question marks, things like this, and they are very important because depending on where you put punctuation, it can completely change the meaning of a sentence. So it's very important to try and get those right. So let's have a look at the sentences here. So the incorrect sentence here would be let's eat, comma, kids. So you're directing the kids to eat. So we should put the comma after let's eat kids. And then the incorrect one, if you didn't add the comma, this shows that it can be quite unfortunate. It can be quite unfortunate if you don't add the comma, which is let's eat kids. So yeah, you don't want to. You're not telling your kids that you're going to eat them. This wouldn't be a good idea. So you are saying that you want your kids to eat with you instead of telling them that you're going to eat them. And the difference is the comma there. You want to add the comma after let's eat. So that is the difference there. Number 6, we have pronoun agreement. So our pronouns have to agree with the nouns that they replace in number and gender. So our pronoun would be the girl lost her book. The girl lost her book. So the pronouns must agree with the nouns. So the girl lost their... So yeah, we couldn't say the girl lost their book because there's only one girl, and we wouldn't put that because it's the girl lost their book. Two completely different pronouns there. Whereas in the first one, where they match each other. So the girl, which is a her, the girl lost her book. So those actually match very well. And now we go back to we do one more slide and then we go back to our red words. Okay, so next up we have forming questions correctly, which is a very important thing in English, or in any language. So to form a question, invert the subject and auxiliary verb to add a helping verb. So a statement would be, she can swim. She can swim. This is a statement. You're not asking a question here. But that being said, and it wouldn't be completely perfect grammar, you could, in some situations, or most likely informal situations, ask a question this way as well. It would all depend on how you inflect your voice. So if you said, she can swim, your voice is inflecting downwards. So it isn't a question. Whereas you could say, she can swim, and you're inflecting upwards, which means that it's a question. That being said, it is a lot better grammar to ask a question with the correct form, which would be by swapping the auxiliary verb. No, we're swapping the verb here with the subject, and this would create the sentence, can she swim? Can she swim? So yeah, we swap the auxiliary verb with the subject, and then that works. So yeah, there we go. So number 8, we have use of conjunctions. Use of conjunctions. Okay, so we have conjunctions which are and, but, because, although. So these are things that you put between sentences to show the it dictates the relationship between two parts of a sentence. 1 second. There we go. So it talks about the relationship between certain things in a sentence. And there we are. So she likes tea, but she does not like coffee. She likes tea, but she does not like coffee. And the other one here is, I went to bed because I was tired. So you see, but and because, they're doing two different things. But is talking about, is basically showing another viewpoint on something, whereas because is showing the reason for something. You see? Okay. All right. Just to warn you guys, in a second, I am going to grab my laptop charger, as my laptop is just about to run out, so we don't completely stop. So my laptop doesn't completely run out. That would be great. Just 1 second. The last thing I would like is to just vanish from all of your screens. Okay. There we go. We have power. And that is great. So now I don't have to worry about whether my laptop is just about to turn off. She likes tea, but she does not like coffee. I went to bed because I was tired. So let's now go back to the previous page and go through our red words, shall we? So let's have a look here. So number 1, we have eat. Eat. So eat actually starts with the I sound with the 2 dots, which lengthens the vowel sound. So e, instead of it, which is actually another word, of course, we have eat. Eat. It's the lengthened vowel sound here. Okay. Number 2, we have lost. Sorry, there we are. It's getting cold, as I said, so it's kind of like we either have hay fever or there's a cold there. Not always, but sometimes. Lost. Okay. Book. Book. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. Coffee. Oh, can you not see the slides? Oh, 1 second. Please let me know in the comments if you can't see the slides. You should be able to see them, and if not, I can try and sort it out. But if you can see them now, because I've tried to fix it, so hopefully it's working for you guys. Just give me 1 second, guys. Let me just blow my nose. There we go. All right, now I don't have to sit there with a tissue all the time. Okay, it's good. That's good. Okay, so now I don't have to worry. So she can switch. So forming questions correctly is important. Okay, so next we have coffee. Coffee. Early. Early. Because. Because. Very good. Very good. All right, so let's move on to the next slide here, shall we? So an important thing in English is to not use double negatives too much, because I know in some languages they use double negatives all the time. That is exactly how they pronounce. That's how they say that something. How they create negatives or negations. So in English we use kind of single. Like we don't really add a double negative to something. We would say I don't have any money. We wouldn't say I don't not have any money or anything like this, because if we were to say I don't not have any money or I don't have no money, what this is saying in English is that we do have money, because if you take 2 negatives, it creates a positive. So I don't have no money, which signals that we do have money, if you know what I mean. You might hear people in English saying, "Oh, I don't have no money," but that would be someone using poor grammar. So just beware if people do say that, that's poor grammar, and maybe you don't want to use that yourself. So that is how we create that. And we would say, I don't have any money. Any we use instead of no money, you see? Number 10, we have comparatives and superlatives, which a comparative is how you compare two things. You say, this is more than that. And superlatives is when you're saying that something is the most something. So let's have a look. So this book is more interesting than the other one. This book is more interesting than the other one. More interesting. That's a comparative because you're saying one book is more interesting. It has you're more. One book is almost better than the other one. It's more interesting. Next one, this is the most interesting book I have ever read. It's better than any other book. It's the most interesting. Okay. Number 11, we have countable and uncountable nouns. So a countable noun is a noun, as is in the word, that can be counted. So you might have 1 apple, 2 apples, 3 apples, something like this. Whereas an uncountable noun is something that you couldn't count. It's something that is usually said as just one thing. So sand. You wouldn't say 1 sand, 2 sand. You'd say 1 grain of sand. A grain of sand is an accountable noun, but sand is an uncountable noun because it's just sand in general. So a countable noun doesn't really have a plural form or a single form. It's just all the same thing. So we can have a look here. So a countable noun would be, there are many chairs in the room. Many. We use many with, so this is the difference between much and many here. So we would use many with a countable noun. So there are many chairs in a room. You could have 1 chair, 2 chair, 3, 1 chair, 2 chairs, 3 chairs. So many chairs. Whereas we use much when it's an uncountable noun. For instance, there is much information to process. So you couldn't have 1 information, 2 information. You can have 1 bit of information, but not 1 information. So that makes information an uncountable noun. So there is much information to process. There is much information to process. Next up, we're looking at adjective and adverb placement. So an adjective is just how we describe a noun. So a blue car, blue is our adjective. An adverb is how we describe a verb. So the car moved fastly. The car moves fastly. So the car was, how did the car move? Fastly. So the car moved fast. There we go. So how would we do this? So they modify the verbs, adjectives modify the nouns. So an adjective would be, he bought an expensive car. So how is the car? What kind of car is it? It's an expensive car. And she spoke softly. How did she speak? She spoke softly. Because speaking is a verb and a car is a noun. So we use the adjective with the noun and we use the adverb with the verb. That is a good way to remember it. Okay. So, 1 second. All right. So let's have a look now at some of our red words. So let's go to 5 here. Yeah. So we have no. No. Money. Money. Great. Interesting. Interesting. Red. Red. Room. 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 Process. Process. Expensive. Expensive. Softly. Softly. Okay. So let's move on to the next one here. So our correct use of prepositions. So we use prepositions. Yeah, so our prepositions can vary significantly depending on the context, and they often indicate relationships between different parts of the sentences. So we use at, on, in, on, within, next to, in many of these different prepositions, depending on the situation and what we're talking about. So he arrived at the station on time. So at the station is the correct preposition that we want to use in terms of prepositions of space. So at the station, we wouldn't say on the station, at the station. On time. So on time is a preposition phrase that we use when we're saying that something is there at the good time that it should be. Next one, we have she is good at painting. She is good at painting. So when we say that someone is good at doing something, it is good at that thing. You see, she's good at painting. Number 14, we have active versus passive voice. So the active voice is generally clearer and more direct, while the passive voice can emphasize the action rather than the subject. So the active voice would be the teacher praised the student, and the passive voice would be the student was praised by the teacher. And when we use the passive voice, we want to use some different grammar structures. So when we're saying that something that happened to something, so the car was towed instead of I towed a car. Let me think one. So I drunk the water. No, the water was drunk and I drank the water. So I drank the water. I am the subject in this one. So I am the person who is doing that thing. So I am drinking the water. So I drunk the water. I drank the water, which is the second form of the verb. Whereas when we use the passive voice, we want to use the third form of the verb. So the water was drunk, third form, by me. So it's a different way of saying it, but we use that. We use the verb to be in the past tense, the third form of the verb, drunk or praised, and then we say by whoever. So we're saying that we're basically making the object of a sentence the subject. We're switching around those positions, but it's in a different way. So the subject is me. I drank the water, whereas we're forming the sentence starting with the object, which is the water was drunk by me. You see? Okay, so we can move on to the next one now. So let's have a look at using some conditional sentences. We love our conditional sentences. A conditional sentence is how we express what would happen in a situation, maybe a hypothetical situation. Maybe a situation isn't hypothetical, but we want to talk about what happens in a certain situation. And in English, we have to have multiple conditionals to be able to talk about certain situations and how they have, like, what the consequences of certain actions are, whether they are more hypothetical or less hypothetical, whether they're in the past, and there are some mixed ones as well. So our first conditional is, if it rains, we will stay home. So this is the first conditional, which focuses on possible future events. So things that might happen in the future. So a possible future. So it's more like a plan or what you would do if that happened. So if it rains, we will stay home. So in this one, we use the if it rains, which is the present simple for our if clause. And then for the second clause, which is what would happen, the outcome, basically, we will stay home. So we use will and then the rest of the sentence. Will plus verb and then the rest of the sentence. So if it rains, we will stay home. If we wanted to turn this into a zero conditional sentence, we would say, if it rains, we stay home. So the difference between if it rains, we stay home, and if it rains, we will stay home, is if it rains, we stay home is a fact. This isn't a plan or anything. This is just what you do if this happens. It's just a truth. It's a truth that happens pretty much every time that happens. You see, you're not planning for something. Whereas the first conditional follows more into a plan. So if it rains, we will stay home. A possible future event. And you could change in this the if to a when, and it becomes when it rains, we will stay home, which creates even more certainty. So if it rains is more of a hypothetical. It's like it could happen, it's likely to happen, but it's not promised. Whereas if we would say when it rains, we will stay home, you've already looked at the weather conditions, you know it's going to rain, and you're saying this. Next, we'll look at our second conditional, which is if I were you, I would apologize. So this is a hypothetical situation. So I'm not you, so I won't apologize, if you think about it. So we use if I were you, we use the past tense for this. And then we use subject, would, and then the rest of the sentence. So I would apologize. So that is the difference there. So if clause were like past tense, then the rest is would plus the rest. So if I were you, I would apologize. And this is almost like when you were a kid and someone said to you, what would you do? What would you do if you won the lottery? So if I won the lottery, I would buy 1 million cars. So if I won the lottery, I would buy 1 million cars. So, I mean, like, obviously there is a possibility that you could win the lottery in the future, but here we're talking in a hypothetical. So we're not saying when I win the lottery, this will happen. No, we're hypothesizing. We're talking about what would happen if that happened, you see? So if I won the lottery, I would buy a car. So we're using the past tense, won, if I won the lottery, and then we use the would, buy a car. Okay. And that is how we create the second conditional. And I might as well teach you the third conditional as well. We do have a whole video on the conditional sentences. So if you go over to our channel and you can have a look at our conditional sentences video, this is just a little bit of that, but we go even further into depth. We go even further in depth in that video. So you can go and have a look at that. But our third conditional talks about things that could have happened in the past but didn't, and what the outcome would have been in the past if they did happen. So something in the past didn't happen, but what would the outcome have been in the past if that had happened? You see? So let's have a look. We can go through one. So if I had passed the test, I would have gotten the job. If I'd passed the test, I would have gotten the job. So in the past, you didn't pass the test. This is why you're using the third conditional. You didn't pass the test, so in the past afterwards, you didn't get the job. But if we want to talk about what might have happened if something in the past had been different, you could say, if I had passed the test, I would have gotten the job. So that is how we use the third conditional. And those are the four conditionals, which is 0, first, second, and third conditionals there. As I said, you can always go and check out our video after this live session, and you can go and have a look at that. So next up, we are going to move to number 16, which is use of relative clauses. So it's important to use the correct clauses. So what is a clause? A clause is a part of a sentence. So, I mean, we can even have a look at the conditional thing here. So the first clause is the if clause. If it rains, that is the if clause. And then the second clause is our we will stay home. So that is how sentences are split up into certain clauses. And there are some clauses that can sit on their own, and there are certain clauses that have to be joined with something else. So it all depends on what clauses you're using and how you're using them. So relative clauses provide additional information about a noun. They usually begin with who, which, or that. So the book that you lent me was fascinating. So the book is basically the first bit, is kind of the first clause here, and then we'll add some additional information with another clause, which is that you lent me was fascinating. So the first bit here is the man. We're going to add a relative clause here. So who called yesterday is my uncle. So we're adding some information and we're starting with who, which, or that. So the book that you lent me was fascinating. The man who called yesterday is my uncle. So we start with the verb using the noun starting with the or a. So mainly the, because actually we are talking about a specific thing here. So the book who, the book that, or the man who. And that is how we create relative clauses. So let's have a look now at our red words, shall we? So we can start off with good. Good. Very good. Painting. Painting. Very good. Praised. Praised. Great. Were. Were. Would. Would. Apologize. 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 Okay. Hello, Rajesh. Please let me know what you want help with, and I will help you. So yeah, if you add another comment down there and let me know what you want me to suggest you on, and I can try and help. Okay, next up we have fascinating. Fascinating. Great. Good job, guys. Okay, let's move on to our penultimate, which means one before last page here. So we have direct and indirect speech. So when we have direct speech, we're reporting what someone else said. So when reporting someone else said, use either direct or indirect speech. An indirect speech backshift. What does that say? I don't understand that word, but it's okay. The indirect speech, the tense to reflect the original sentence. So our direct speech would be, she said, I am tired. And the indirect speech would be that she said that she was tired. So when we are using direct speech, it's much more personal about the person. It's exactly what they said. So she said, I am tired. So here we're using almost a quotation mark and saying exactly what she said. She said, I am tired. That's exactly what she said. Whereas indirect is we are reporting something that she said, but we are saying it basically by describing her. So she said that she was tired. She said that she was tired. And we use it in the past tense there. Because we're saying what she was in the past, or what she said that she was or had, or whatever. Okay, number 18, we have proper use of infinitives and gerunds. So an infinitive is the main form of a verb. So to drink is an infinitive. It's to plus the verb. A gerund, we add ing to the end of the verb, because what we basically turn a verb into with a gerund is we turn it into almost a noun. So to drink is the verb, and then if we said drinking, you would think that this was a continuous tense, wouldn't you? Because it looks very similar to the present participle, which is I am drinking. Whereas you could say drinking is something that I enjoy doing, or I like drinking, I like playing sports. So in these things, you could swap them out for a noun. So you could say I like water, I like football, I like drinking. So you're basically turning a verb into a noun in this sense. It's not a full noun; it's a noun in disguise. It's a verb in disguise, but it acts as a noun. You see? So here we are. So I like to swim. I like to swim because we are using a two verbs, one after another. So to like, I like, And because we're adding another another verb straight after, we have to use the infinitive. So I like to swim. The rules here are a little bit different when we're using a modal verb, where you could just say I can swim. We wouldn't have to say we couldn't say I can to swim. This would be wrong. But when we use a normal verb, we would say I like to swim. We add the to, we use the infinitive. Next, we have swimming is my favorite activity. So swimming, we've turned the verb into a gerund, which is basically acting as a noun. So swimming is my favorite activity. Swimming is my favorite activity. So it is basically the noun of the thing of. We're talking. So you could say football is my favorite activity. You could also say playing football is my favorite activity. The difference is that the first one you're talking about the event, basically, you enjoy that, but actually the second one you're going more in depth about the thing that you enjoy is actually doing the thing. You see, you're creating a noun out of a doing thing, and you're describing that thing in itself. Okay, and there's the quite specific difference there. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments, and either I'll get back to you as I'm teaching, or I will get back to you, or we will get back to you afterwards. So please don't hesitate to put those in the comments, as I can help you there. 10, number 10, page 10, we have proper sentence structure. So we have a complete sentence must have a subject and a predicate. Avoid fragments as they do not express a complete thought. So a correct one would be she is reading a book. The incorrect one would be while reading a book. So this is a fragment. This is without a main clause. This is just a bit of a sentence, whereas she is reading a book can sit on its own. Whereas while is leading towards something else. It's leading towards further explanation, you see. So there is the difference there. 1 second, I'm going to quickly blow my nose again. Okay, that should be better. Okay, much better. So number 20, we're going to look at understanding word order, because word order is so important in English. Like, I know in some languages you use things like cases and other things like that, which means that word order becomes less of an importance. Whereas in English, word order is pretty much one of the most important things, as it describes who is doing an action, who the action is happening to, and things like this. And so it shows the relationship between different words in a sentence. So they're very important. So let's have a look. So she is reading a book, and then an incorrect one would be while reading a book. Oh, no. So she plays the piano is the correct one. So she plays the piano. We have the subject, and then the verb, and then the object. That is the important part of this. Is the important order of a sentence here. Whereas, especially in the present simple. Whereas, when we have plays she the piano, it wouldn't make sense here. Plays she the piano? Is the piano playing her? Is she playing the piano? It just doesn't make sense here because of the word order. Or because of the word order, we don't know who the subject is, who the object is, we know which one the verb is, but we don't know what the verb is reacting to. So it's very important to get the correct word order, and in doing that, you will make yourself a lot more understandable, and you'll be able to express things a lot clearer while you're speaking. So using the correct word order makes your writing clear and easy to understand. So let's go through our last few red words here. And thank you guys for staying with us throughout the whole video. It is really good to see you all here. And thank you for your comments, as they make the video a lot more, they help you and they also help me, and they are very good for your progress as you are kind of adding comments and working through the class with me. that is how you will actually improve, as well as just watching and repeating. So yes, commenting is actually very, very good, and it keeps it means that I'm able to help you very specifically. So yeah, always like never worry about comment, like never stress that your comments are silly or something like that. They are always worthwhile because someone else is probably thinking the same thing too and probably too scared to ask the question. So please ask any questions that you have. So let's go through our last few red words, shall we, before we go. So number one is tired. Tired. Favorite. Favorite. Very good. And just one over here, we have piano. Piano. All right. Thank you, guys. As I said, please put any questions that you have, and we will get back to you in the comments. Please like and comment and subscribe. And yes, I look forward to seeing you all again next week for another live video. And thank you for being here. I hope you have a lovely week. I hope the weather is good. And I've been James. We've been I Speak Spoke Spoken, and joyfully catch you later, guys. Bye bye.